Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Compass Rose, the True North podcast. Now, first of all, I would like to say happy holidays to everybody. May everybody have a blessed holiday and a great new year. So, with that being said, today I have a very special guest coming on. Try to introduce it. Everybody is great and all that. I love cigars. We bring about that. I'm a veteran. Well, I, I'm bringing I'm bringing on today Miss Linda Marcus Smith, a comedian, also veteran. She is, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Miss Linda.
Good morning, Scott. How are you? Thank you for having
I'm
me.
outstanding.
Good. That's great. I'm glad to hear it. Happy holidays.
Great. Oh, had a little bit of back feedback. Can you hear me now? Everything's good?
Everything's great.
Okay. I apologize.
No problem.
So I would like to, this is Miss Linda Marcus Smith. She's a comedian. She's also a veteran. Can you believe that? You look at her as like a comedian, a veteran? Seriously? A woman veteran of all things? That is like outstanding right there. I just want to say thank you for that too.
Thank you. You're a veteran too of the Navy.
You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
I don't know what the feedback is. Just don't like me today. It's the holidays.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. Hey, that's my practical joke. Those are my bloopers right there. Because, hey, anything happens. I've always adored comedians. Charlie Chaplin, Groucho Marx, maybe in the cigar industry. Here we go again.
Do you know why you adore them?
I think I just figured it out. I think I had an aha moment. I cannot believe it. Well, Miss Linda, so if you can explain and do a little bit of background on yourself and explain it to everybody, who you
Sure.
really are.
What?
If you could tell us who you really are. Can you hear me fine? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm Linda Marcus Smith. I'm presently, and for the last almost 10 years, I'm a comedian. But life didn't start out that funny. I haven't had a real fun trip to this point. But I think the richness of all my pain makes me a comedian with a lot of depth and a lot of ability to relate to everybody in the audience.
And I think that is man, I love that. I mean, it's hard. What made you when you first of all, being a woman and all that, how were you in the army?
Well, I went to the recruiter's office and took a test and I passed it. It's a funny answer. But, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and my whole childhood I dreamt about getting the heck out of Dodge.
Right?
And I looked for every possible way to get away from, let's just say, Portland for now.
Fair
I had a
enough.
lot of I had a lot of domineering women in my family and a lot of men who just let anything go. And so life for me, I wanted to I'd watched the old time movies and I was a big fan of celebrities and especially comedy. And I wanted to see the world. So I tried every possible way to get out of Portland. And so I tried trying out for singing groups. I tried out traveling just to travel. And we didn't come from money. I didn't have money. And so little by little, every possible way, the door was closed except the military. So I went to the recruiter and the doors were wide open. And I had been in banking for a couple of years. So they said that I would be a wonderful cashier.
Hmm.
So that's what I did in the military.
Oh, wow. I think that's exciting, but I want to salute you first of all. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. And same to you, because I know you really served.
God bless us all, and God bless everybody who went before us and who are still fighting for a good fight because we stand up for something what we believe in. Now, I've always wanted to know and ask the question of being a comedian. First of all, what made you decide to be a comedian? What brought you to that whole aspect of that?
I always dreamt about making people laugh. I I loved making people laugh who were my friends.
Hmm.
And I just decided I raised a daughter. I was married and had a daughter. She's now going to be 48. And I spoiled her. I was a single mom. So I was married. When she was 4, we got divorced and I spoiled my daughter. So your video went out, Scott. I don't know if you're aware.
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, so after spoiling my daughter, when you spoil your child, if you're out there and you have children or you're thinking about having children, do not spoil them. Don't give them everything. Don't say yes. Don't sacrifice to where you don't even know who you are anymore for your children. Don't do it. Because what happens is you're the doormat and they know all your buttons. And if you're not willing to let go of them, at some point, it's going to turn ugly because the closer you are to your child, the harder the breakup is. So they have to break away. And if you make it impossible for them to break up, it can become violent. Just going to say that. And it did become physically and emotionally and financially abusive. And I don't blame her. It's just a fact. I created the perfect atmosphere for that to happen. I spoiled her. I got hit by a drunk driver. I had brain trauma, and she took care of me. And don't let your children take care of you when they're 18 or 20. Let them have a life. Go into rehab or go into some kind of facility where a stranger takes care of you, not your child. So she was put under a lot of pressure when she wasn't capable of handling it. So I don't blame her. But at one point, I had to tell her, I'm not doing you any favors by letting you take advantage of me. So we need to be apart because it had become violent. And I'm very proud that I never raised a hand back at her. And I'm not proud that I allowed the train to get off the track to that point. But one day I said, we got to go our separate ways. And that was the day that I knew I might not ever see her again. I haven't seen her. I haven't gotten a word back from her. I've accidentally twice walked in where she works. I have listed her as missing because I don't even know through the pandemic if she's alive. Nobody can find her. And, but that day I didn't want to live, Scott. No mother wants to live without their child. So I called the comedy club and I said, how would you like to save my life? And I mean today. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, I don't want to live, but I think I'm looking at the rest of my life without my daughter. So if you'll get me in today to teach me how to make people laugh, I'll have a reason to live. So they got me in at 2:00. At 6:00, I was on an open mic. And that's it.
Man, see, again, it's those stories that need to be put out there and for people to understand that comedy is not always what it seems. Like, hey, everything is all hunky dory. They love it. It's a beautiful thing. Because it is. But what goes behind it? What creates you to go to that field? Is there a dark side? Was it always great and just jokes and laughs?
Yeah.
And you could tell it's an experience. It's a journey for all of us when we're going through that. And I think that's amazing what you did and how you overcame it and adapted.
Thank you.
Don't recommend it for anybody because it's not for everybody. But comedy. So comedy saved your life.
Yep.
That's a story of itself right there of how comedy can save one person's life. So when you went on for the very first time, Miss Linda, what was it like your first time up on that mic? What went through your head?
Well, I'd spent a couple hours with 4 comedians helping me listen to my life and helping me come up with a few jokes for the open mic. So I'd been prepared by some professionals, what to leave out, where a punchline was, a little bit. And I remember getting up there but before I got up there, it was at Ace's Comedy Club in Marietta, the same place where I met Taylor Tomlinson when she was brand new as a teenager. She's now huge. She has her own late night show. But anyway, I got to say that I was standing in line for the open mic after they prepared me. And there was like 10 of us comedians for the open mic. And so they lined us up in order. So the guy in front of me, I said, hey, what do you do during the day for a day job? And he said, I'm a psychic medium. And I said, wow. Do you see anything around me? And he said, your father. And I said, oh, what's he doing? And he goes, he's very proud of you. And I said, what about my mother? And he said, she's not talking. She refuses to talk. And I thought, this guy knows something.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I go up on the open mic and I'm telling my stupid jokes that are so embarrassing now, like thought I do stand up. Well, I can still stand up. Like nobody's ever tried that joke before.
Right.
I got these jokes. Some of them are good. Most of them are like hack. And I remember two guys were sitting in the front row and I said some joke and I heard one of them say to the other, I've heard that joke before. And that was a good lesson to learn my first time. Like, don't just take other people's opinion and go up there and do it. Research and make sure nobody's done that joke.
Yeah. So, like, how's that work and all that? I mean, so you have to do a lot of research on jokes, correct? And on what you do. Like, what goes into that when you're preparing to do this, to go up on stage?
Well, you have to constantly be looking at the people who have come before you and know what the old jokes were. And you have to be looking at the new comedians to know what the new things are. And if you're going to try to do a topic that George Carlin did, you better put a whole different spin on it. You can use his premise, but I wouldn't suggest using his punchline. Come up with your own punchline. So, some of these comedians have great stories, like Richard Pryor, Red Fox. I mean, some people were storytellers and some were set up and punch. So, you have to know that what you're doing is original, especially nowadays. We don't have a union. Nobody cares. If it used to be, if you stole a joke, you were blackballed. Nobody would book you.
Oh, okay.
But now there's comedians out there that are well known for stealing jokes and they're famous. And I'm not saying names, I'm just saying us comedians know who they are and they get booked. So you're going to have jokes stolen from you if they're any good. You're going to have premises stolen. You're going to have punchlines stolen. But if you make it about yourself and very original, like I can do a joke about this brand of Crystal Geyser sparkling water.
Mm-hmm.
High likelihood the joke's going to get stolen. But on the other hand, if I make it really personal, nobody's going to want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because, the audience might like the joke, but the comedians are going to go, I'll let her have that joke. It's too much. I come from Portland, Oregon. Do you think we had Crystal Geyser water there? We had more like gluten-free, passive-aggressive sparkling water. Now who's going to want to take that joke? Because it's got me, Portland, passive-aggressive Portland. So your joke is pretty much stamped as your own.
I think that's really cool and all that. That stuff is amazing because I never knew how you do things and all that. I don't know. How the heck am I supposed to know? All I know is the comedy side, because mine was always with George Carlin and all the greats. Richard Pryor, I loved it. Eddie Murphy, I love Eddie Murphy, especially on Raw. But I like the originality of it.
Yes.
That nobody, because no matter how much you can steal something, if, like you said, if you make it your own and all that, no matter how they try to spin it or how they try to tell it, it's not the same.
Same with people helping you write your jokes. There's a lot of comedians out there who don't want to do the work and they'll hire big name people to write their jokes. And the minute anybody's telling a joke that somebody else wrote for them, you can feel it. The audience can feel it. They don't know what they're feeling, but they can feel the disconnect. And so then the audience doesn't buy the joke and it gets very little payoff. But like I've had people write jokes for me, and it's like reading somebody else's story. It's not my words. I don't know how to really put my emotion in it. I don't have emotion in it. It's there. I Once in a lifetime you're going to find somebody that can write for your voice. And if you find that one person that can write a joke the way you say a joke, with your emotion and intensity and your pauses and your inflection, and hold on to that person, they're worth
$1
a
million
couple hundred
bucks.
an hour. What?
Worth $1 million bucks. You can't change it. You don't want to get rid of them. You hold on tight. Like a
Yeah.
marriage. When you find that right person, don't ever let go.
There are no shortcuts to hard work in anything. And if you're taking shortcuts, mazel tov. That's all I have to say. It's going to catch up with you. You're cheating. In
Yes.
comedy, people get attracted. People love, women are sexually attracted to male comedians. Don't ask me why. And, just because they're funny, they're sexy. And everybody loves a comedian. But, it's you watch them and you only see a snippet of them. You see Joan Rivers cascading across the stage, making people laugh every 10 seconds for an hour, every 10 seconds. But you don't see all the years of failure and hard work and being ignored and being put down and being overlooked and passed over that it took to get to there for anybody, man or woman. So when you're looking at a comedian today, you walk into their life 15 years into it and you go, wow, comedy looks so easy. I think I'll get up there. Well, mazel tov, because you're looking at a polished rock. Nobody goes into a pile of rocks and says, what a beautiful diamond. Because it's not a beautiful diamond. It's a rock, and it has to be formed, and pressure has to be put on it till it's beautiful.
Yes. I know that one. I have a story on that one, but that's for another time. Like I said, I followed you. I enjoy all your stuff and all that. How long have you been a comedian?
Since March 13, 2013. I thought it was 2014, but find out I'm not perfect. I guess it was 2013. So I guess it's 10 years and change. Time flies. And every day is a struggle. I too have a TBI, a brain injury. I have a diagnosis of mild dementia due to brain trauma. And I have a boatload of diagnoses that are fighting against me. And I'm just trying to relax and be with them. And I have a purse full of allergic reactions to food, medicine. I'm always having an allergic reaction. They're severe. And, so life isn't, and I have a daughter that hasn't spoke to me since the day I started comedy. And that's why I started comedy, because I wanted to live. I don't want to show her up. I don't want to shove it in her face that I can live without her. That's not who I am. But who I am is, I might have shown her that I was weak and she took advantage of me. But I want the last chapter to be, I'm strong.
And you're alive and you're kicking.
Mm-hmm.
You're fighting for your life.
Mm-hmm.
Every day when you wake up, it's a fight for your life. How do I want to be today?
Mm-hmm.
Positivity, negativity, whenever you wake up, and people don't realize that. There are so many people, and first of all, I like to say mental health is a huge issue, regardless, across the board. It's a huge, huge issue. A lot of people suffer in silence, and that's a struggle that we have to overcome and adapt to, and people are afraid to talk about it. They really, really are. These kids that are committing suicide now, that's unacceptable. Kids back in, when we were younger and all that, we just fought it out because you're gonna have your bullies. You're always gonna have that. You're gonna, you make the best of it. You fight. You stand up for yourself. You lose. You win. Hey, it's okay. You go on about your business. But now it's not like that. Nobody wants to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I think for comedy, that's a huge role in it because I want people, whether it be young, old, wherever, and all that, that you can have a voice, that you can actually accomplish things like through you're telling your story and all that. Was it the greatest, the idealistic? No, of course not. But it's okay. You still made it.
I wanted to share with you, Scott, why I have a passion to make the military and veterans laugh. May I do that?
Absolutely.
All right. So I was in the military, and it was in 73, and it was, I was in Germany. For 6 months, I was the only woman with 2,000 men.
Wow.
So it was before the Me Too movement, definitely before Gloria Allred was on speed dial. And all day long, I was the object of 2,000 men's affection. And so I don't harbor any bitterness for that. Anything that's come at me that's negative, whether I created it, I've forgiven myself. Whether other people created it, I've forgiven them. But it's a fact. I went through a lot in the military. And I know that I'm not the only person. Everybody who's military, we have a camaraderie. We went, signed, we said goodbye to friends and family. We had girlfriends walk out on us. We had family turn their back on us. We had people that didn't believe in being pro-military. We left a world and we came back to a different world. We have all those traumas in common, let alone whatever the government made us do that we have to wrestle with inside ourselves, getting judged by other people, pro or con military. And I knew I wanted to do comedy, and I always loved Bob Hope, what he did. But I didn't know how to make that happen for me. So one day, now if you have a passion and you just keep your karma clean and you just move towards your passion, you speak that you have a passion, your passion will come to you. You don't have to worry about, I want to make people laugh, military. How do I do that? Just relax. If you have a passion, just say you have a passion and keep your karma clean with other people. Clean up your karma and your passion will come to you. And one day I was at a restaurant, and Scott, a guy walked into the restaurant in his marine blues, in his dress blues, marine outfit, with the red and then the blue on the bottom. And he goes, "Aren't you that girl?" This was in Sun City, California, in the Inland Empire.
Okay.
And he said to me, he goes, "Aren't you the lady that's doing comedy?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, okay." And a little bit later, he came back and he said, "I'm so depressed." And I said, "Really? Why?" And he said, "Well, I'm losing my eyesight in this eye. I have my retina is becoming detached, and it makes me so depressed, and I feel so ugly." This is what he tells me. I don't know him. He's now shared something with me that has made me depressed just hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
I literally couldn't take it. The depression was so instant and so heavy I had to excuse myself. I said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I go to the bathroom? And when I come out, I don't know how long I'm going to be in there. Because, first of all, I'm going to need to cry. But when I come out, I'm going to have a joke for you. Because when you just said that to me, not only did you tell me you're depressed, which made me depressed, but you said it in a way that's going to depress other people. So, how would you like to have a way through comedy, through a lighter way, where you can, instead of alienating yourself when you tell people, your friends and family, you tell them that you're depressed, you tell them that your eyesight makes you depressed or whatever. How would you like a funny way to say that so that you endear yourself, that you relate to them, that you make it lighter? He said, I'd love that. So my passion came to me because of a man coming up to me and telling me how depressed he was and why. So I go to the bathroom and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to come out of here. The feeling was so intense. And it was
Right.
like, if you believe in God, it's like the moment God put a passion on me. It was the equivalent of, to me, of like Moses coming down the mountain with the tablets. To me, it was that heavy. It was in my gut. It was in my head. And I was in the bathroom. I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom to get away from him. So I sat there and I was like the thinker, what am I going to do? How am I going to, how, what? And then it hit me. So I came back out and I said, I got it. You ready to hear it? He said, yeah. And then I told him what I came up with, and it made him laugh. And now he has a way to cope with it in a lighter way. He can cope better, and so can everybody in his world. And that's why I do comedy for military people.
That right there is amazing, because there's so many that struggle and so many have issues that we have to deal with. Demons, so basically kind of like demons in the closet. We all fight with something. We all struggle with something. I can share as far as mine, I have a lot. A tremendous amount of stress, tremendous amount of things that I have to deal with, whether it be my wife with her cancer, mine with my seizures. Do I get depressed? Absolutely. All
Yeah.
day and time, because it is depressing.
Yeah.
We're trying to find a better way of coping with that. That's the biggest thing, is how do you cope with it?
And
Just get back up on the horse and keep moving.
and everybody buries their trauma and their pain and just tries to get by. And with comedy, you can be in the middle of a huge traumatic event and make it funny. And still, like, you can still be a human. You can still know this. The reality is that this is so painful. This is so ridiculous. I don't know why God gave me this. And you can still make it funny. You can acknowledge it and be with it and still make yourself laugh and others.
Man, I gotta learn that. Holy smokes. Because it gets stressful and trying to cope with it. That's why I smoke cigars, because it's like my therapy.
Yeah.
I concentrate on a cigar for long enough, I don't have to think about the reality. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Because
I like to sit at a slot machine and avoid reality.
yeah.
Yeah. We all have those ways to cope. And how many times have you talked to other people who were military and they're all sharing, might start funny stories, but then there's always somebody that'll say, you want to see my gunshot wound, or, what I went through. And then it becomes who went through the most,
Mhm.
and, like, let's say let's take a deep dive here, okay, for a second. All due respect.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you had to go to World War II and drop bombs on live human beings, and you were responsible for umpteen deaths. You
Mm-hmm.
were the one sitting there dropping the bombs. You're going to bury that. You had to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't, you don't want to make fun of the fact that you were told to do something and you did it, but you don't want to bury it either. And if you're holding it in, you're going to act it out in front of your family in a negative way. And if you tell them what you did, they might distance themselves from you if you don't make it fun and interesting. And there's so many different levels of ways that you can tell people what all you had to do and make them laugh without denying who you were and without belittling yourself or the military. You know, like you could say, you know, I dropped care packages. They didn't like all of them,
Right.
you know. But like, I've got jokes about the sexual trauma I went through. I've got jokes about my commander being disrespectful to me. And those are important jokes because it still goes on for men and women. It's important. It's important. It's important for the audience to see that 50 years later, I still remember, but I'm not bitter. It's
Right.
important for them to see an old lady that can be happy no matter what she went through. I'm probably more inspirational to an audience than I am funny.
Yeah, people could see that. I could definitely see that. But I love on both sides of who you are.
What?
I love both sides of who you are,
Thank
whether
you.
it be the comedy and what you went through. I admire that. It is inspirational. I too am dealing with that with people that I get surrounded with. People come up to me, and whether it be a job, sexual harassment, say, "Hey, this is going on." And it's like, really? Are you freaking kidding me? And then the company don't want to do anything about it. It's all hush hush. It's
Yes.
like, but the worst part is for me, it takes me back to in the 70s and all that, where everything is silent. People keep it within that it just takes me back to that place.
Yeah.
And it's wild. So tell us a little bit. You've been on TV. If you can elaborate on how you got into TV, what was it like to be on TV? And what was your favorite part about being on TV?
Well, my passion for the military drives me in everything that I do. So the first time I got onto KGW TV in Portland, Oregon was because I had been volunteering my time through the VA hospital in Portland. They sent me to Vancouver, Washington to tell jokes every Wednesday at 2 o'clock at Central Park Place Apartments, this is important for you to know, it's on the VA property. So you got the VA hospital, and inside of those grounds was an apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there every week. It's half veterans and half people who have social workers. They might be on the spectrum, they might be deathly ill, but half of those people, during the comedy I did, there would be caregivers coming in and out taking care of the other half of the people that lived there. So it was kind of like part nursing, convalescent, and part just veteran housing. So you had everything across the board that was there, every need possible. I would go there and cook meals while I was telling jokes. I would help them with projects while I was telling jokes. I would help them write jokes while I was telling jokes, all of the above.
Oh, wow.
Week after week, whatever their need was that week, that's how we were doing the jokes. And there's constant interruptions, a lot of depression, a lot of different diagnoses that you deal with. And so and moods, like not necessarily in the mood for jokes. And so I remember going home one day, and I knew it'd be next week I'd be going in, but I got a phone call from Central Park Place, the manager, and he said, "Don't come in next week." And I think it was the next morning I got a call. I said, "Don't come in next week," and he goes, "No. One of our residents stabbed 3 of the veterans to death."
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So my heart sunk to the floor. I still don't have a joke for this, and I don't think I ever will. But so there I was with no way to show my passion for now. It was on hold. When you take somebody's passion and put it on hold, not only was I depressed that there had been a killing, was it somebody I knew who did it, who all else, is there going to be more killings, all of that. Now I have no way to let my passion out, maybe never again there. So I said, okay. So I'm, a few weeks go by and I get a call and they said, okay, you can go back in now. I'm like, okay, I'll just be right there. Yeah, it's just that easy. Yeah, because I'm a comedian. Nothing is serious. And I'm like, I'm a human. Are you kidding me? I can come back in. This is a crime scene. Like, did you even catch it? I'm not saying nothing to these people. I'm just thinking this. How in the heck am I, a female alone, going to go into a building of a crime scene and just be jovial, right? How am I going to go in there and feel safe? So I called up. I thought, how am I going to do this? I said I'd go back. So I decided to concoct. I came up with a plan. If you got a passion, you don't have any fear. I came up with a plan to go back in. I'm going to bring the best comedians from Portland, Oregon. I mean, the top comedians. I'm going to pay them out of my disability check. They're going to all get $20, $30, $50, whatever. We're going to go in there and we're going to do comedy. And I'm not going to be alone. And really, I'm just going to host it because I'm really not in the real mood to be the joke teller. But I'll let the other people, they're not attached to it, so they can do the jokes. So I hired, they're all on board. They all know that there's been a killing and they want to go in there. It's like telling jokes on Saturday Night Live after 9/11.
It's impossible to do that right afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you do that?
So because I still was reluctant, I decided, well, this is kind of newsworthy. So I called the TV station and I said, can I send you a press release? Because I've been doing this, then they had this, and now I'm going to do this. So all the comedians, the TV station was going to show up. Now all the comedians are also narcissistically excited that they're going to be on TV and they're going to get paid and they're coming and they're on board and we're going to cook a meal and you get a free meal. And they're all excited about the TV thing, right? Well, the TV thing turned out to be focusing only on me, not them. So now they're mad at me, but they're committed to doing comedy and they're jealous, right? I can't help it. You can't tell the TV channel what to focus on. They're going to do their own thing.
They always have.
Yeah. So that's the first time. The second time, another time, I love my vets, but every once in a while I get sick. So I had to go to the hospital. So I'm up in the VA hospital it's around the holidays, and there's a stack of Christmas cards that children have written in grade school. So I thought, I'm going to take the whole stack and go around the streets of Portland and pass these Christmas cards out to the homeless veterans. So I do. And I thought, I just feel like one of these cards is especially for me. So I was fumbling through the cards and I just randomly picked a card. I was in tears, Scott. I was in tears. This card spoke to me as a female veteran, older female veteran. It was written by a fifth grader. And she says, she didn't know who she was writing it to. She says, I have no idea what you've gone through. All I know is that I just want you to know that you've made a difference in my life. And I wish you the very best in your life. And I was in tears. A fifth grader having that kind of insight. Who was this fifth grader going to become in her life? I wanted a part of encouraging her back. It made me cry. I wanted to let her know it touched me. So I ordered a woman's Army Corps necklace in gold. I called the TV station and I told them, I have to meet this girl. I don't want to sound like, a stalker or a pedophile. I need to take the TV channel in with me, so this is legit. So the TV channel took me in and we surprised her in her classroom. And I got to meet her. And she was even more beautiful in person. Only a fifth grader.
That's amazing. But those are powerful moments. When a person, especially a fifth grader, a young person, can touch someone and move someone like that.
Yeah.
I think that is like all time amazing, and that's what it resends all of us a message of why we do what we do.
Can I tell you one other story?
Absolutely.
So I was up at the VA hospital one time and I was waiting for him some medicine, and you're waiting. And I said, can I go to the snack bar and get a coffee? It was the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. Sure, go ahead. So I go to the snack bar and I'm putting my money in the machine. And this guy is in a wheelchair and he's coming into the cafeteria like this. And I said, I noticed he had a hole in his leg. And I said, what have they done to you? What are they doing to you? What in the world? Because his leg had a hole in it. And he said that he came in 2 months ago for a knee replacement and they still haven't found a knee for him. So they took out the knee and he has to keep this all salved up and lubricated every day so it doesn't heal. So he's got an open wound in the hospital, open to bacteria and infection. So I just said, man, can't imagine. I said, do you mind if I'm a comedian, do you mind if I tell you some jokes? So he pulled up his wheelchair to my table. I'm telling my jokes and he's bawling his eyes out. That's the greatest moment ever. That touched him. So I got done and he said, I don't remember laughing inside. He couldn't laugh outward. I don't remember laughing inside so hard since I laughed outwardly when Bob Hope came to visit me in Vietnam.
Right.
That's my passion.
And you got a knack for it. And then if anybody, like I said, it's a great honor to have you on and to be a part of it. And I just wanted to ask you a question, though, that actually an invitation. Since I have my foundation, the True North Foundation, 501c nonprofit, for veterans' mental health, homelessness, and for our first responders. I'm hosting a charity golf event in June here in Indiana by Fort Wayne. How hard would it be to get you? It would be an invitation to come out to do comedy.
I would be honored.
Because I think it's something special, that it's for the right reasons, and to get the fire department, the police department, veterans, because hopefully I have Major Ed from John Daly, Major Ed Heart of a Lion Foundation. He lost his leg in the Army. It's really big, and it would be a great honor to have you there, and especially to make people laugh.
Yes.
Because we all need it. And
afterwards, if they want to come back and tell me anything they've been through, and I'll help them make it funny if they're ready for that. I would be glad to do that. I'm going to be in England and Germany in June. I leave on the 12th. So I don't know if it's going to be the 1st to the 11th, but I could go from Indiana to LaGuardia to go to England if it backs up on it.
Well, I can make something happen prior to it, because the event is 14th through the 16th. It's the weekend, and I know you're going to be gone. So if I could have something like, whether it be at one of our posts, because I'm a part of Post 97 American Legion, because that would be great.
I would love that.
That would be amazing, because there's a lot of great people in there that have gone through horrendous things that need laughter.
Absolutely.
So I will definitely get in touch with you afterwards and keep in contact. Now, can you tell me a freaking joke?
Yeah, sure. Do you have a specific topic that I can just make one up for right now, or do you want to hear a little of my shtick?
A little bit of your shtick.
Okay, 1 second. Let me get my set list so I have it.
Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, this is Miss Linda Marcus Smith, a great comedian, a veteran, and I admire her so much through everything that she has gone through. So make sure you follow her everywhere. I will be reposting.
Subscribe to my YouTube, comedian Linda Marcus Smith. I need followers.
We all do. I need followers. You need followers, but that's why we do this, is to get the word out there and get people more on board.
Even Jesus needed followers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know what you're thinking. She can't be funny because she's so hot, right? Give it up for me. You know you're thinking.
Fist bump, fist bump.
Yeah, it's hard doing comedy when you're old too, right? Anybody old out there? Yeah.
I'm sure there is.
And I'm white. I happen to be white. It's really hard being white in this country, right? I'm kidding, you guys. I've been aging though. I have. Yeah, I know it's a shocker. I just recently turned 21 again. Yeah. I know. Do you know because I turned 21 so many times, I can now drink 3 times the legal limit.
Hey, with no offenses, right? No felonies.
No offenses. Now, they can't give me a ticket. Get 1 legal limit for 21 years. So 3 times the legal limit plus none of your business. That's what. I keep getting hotter. The young guys want me to be a cougar. I am not a cougar. Not gonna do it. Sorry. I know it's fashionable to be a cougar, but I like men my age or older. but every year it gets harder to find them alive. What are you going to do? I like you looking young, and I like getting men my age to turn around and look at me. So that's why I get my cute, flirty clothes at Forever 21. Yeah. Last time I was in there, they said, "You can't come in here. You're too old." I said, "It says Forever 21." I know. And they
Back it
said,
up.
"Well, when we came up with that name, we didn't know Forever was going to last that long."
Ouch.
I know. So I said, "Okay, but come here, little lady behind the cash register. Did you know you just told me that I look good for my age? You know what you look good for?" I'm not going to even tell you. But
Ouch.
I like the way that you're wearing your little sister's tank top. Because I have a way of
Undersized.
getting even with a smile. I can do it with comedy. I can get away with a lot. Yeah. I come from, anybody from New York? Me
Oh,
neither. I come from the Upper West Side of the U.S. map, not Oregon. And I come from a little town, Scott. Little
no
town.
way.
A little town that nobody's ever heard of in the news before. Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
What's that?
My town has gone off the rails, Meshuggah. But the good news is they're so crazy there, they consider me their best export. So I'm winning. I beat out all the crazy people there. You thought DB Cooper was weird? Tanya Harding? Oh no. They miss me when I'm gone. That's my time. That's just part of it.
You know what? It's classy. I love
Thank
it to
you.
death. It's kind of like it remind me of because I've always like when Bob Hope. I mean, no matter how old he got, he always with the USO always came out. I got to meet him on the carrier a long time ago and all that, so that was really cool. And but the laughter that he brings to everybody and what you can bring to the table on making people laugh and enjoying it. And I have to ask a question. See, I flip the script. Right? My brain goes like in 100 miles an hour, different ways. Why do you all have to pick on the people up in the front row?
It's a double-edged sword. So there's two answers. The club wants everybody up near the front, close together, because the closer you pack them in, they become a unit. The comedy becomes exponentially funnier. But there's also on the flip side, there's people that demand to sit in the front and they want to be picked on. So as a comedian, you have to know who's sitting up front because the club made them sit up front versus the ones that want to be picked on. So if you want to pick on somebody, you better pick on the right person.
Okay. Well, like if I say, for instance, if I didn't want to be picked on, but like you go with a bunch of friends, you're down and out, and they get you to sit up in front, and you get picked on. Now, being on the flip side of that, how do you handle that? What would you suggest to people?
So if you're in a group and they sit you up front in a group, or you're by yourself or with on a date, and you really don't want to sit up front, tell the host you don't want to sit up front. You don't want to get picked on. Some clubs don't let the comedians pick on the audience.
Oh, I didn't
Very
know that.
few. So if you're going, you can get picked on in the back row. I've seen comedians demand that the house turn up the house lights so that the comedian can roast everybody in the whole building.
Oh,
So
wow.
it doesn't ensure that you're safe. But all you have to do is, if you're getting picked on, is go with it. Just laugh. If they say that you look like you're a hooker, just go, how'd you know? I wouldn't say anything, because whatever you say, then they're using that, and they'll find a way that you're saying something stupid. If they're the type to pick on you, don't give them any ammo. Just go with it. Just go, yeah. You're bald. What do? Shine your head every day on a shoe shine buffer? How'd you know? Yeah. Thank you. That's funny. Great. Don't say I wouldn't say anything, because then you're feeding into them. And
Gotcha.
they're up there with the microphone, so they're gonna win. And anything you say, they're gonna be the masters at making you look like the idiot.
Gotcha.
Once in a rare moon, somebody in the audience is funnier than the comedian. And you don't really want to be that person, because they'll find a way to make you wrong. If they're an insult comic, nothing you do is going to be right. Even if you're funnier than them, they'll turn that on you.
Yeah, I've noticed that because, like, when you look like Jerry Seinfeld and you go to Chris Rock or you go to the different comedians, Eddie Murphy was famous for it too. So, I mean, I loved how he did it. But and that's another thing is, like, with you being a woman and a veteran and older and all that, with a lot of the young women, the kids, when they are going through something tough, what would you like to tell them on how they can get through it and make something out of it? Because I know they have so many questions, and right now the younger age are being picked on, where everybody's so afraid of, how do I look? Am I overweight? It's sickening. So, what would your biggest advice for young women nowadays?
If you're getting picked on one way or another,
Yes.
I think one of the best things I learned in life that's actually saved my life, if you're out there listening, is dialectical behavioral thinking, DBT skills. A lady named Marsha Linehan came up with it. And what that means is, two opposites can occur in your life and you can remain calm and get through it. So, for instance, let's say you're being sexually harassed on your very first job. You're 16, you just got a job as a waitress, and it appears he hired you because he's got a thing for you and he's making your life miserable, whatever way that is. So you can't do anything about him. All you can do is about you. So you need to tell yourself, it's okay for me to believe that this is dead wrong to do to anybody, let alone me. And it's also okay that it's happening. Now, that's the hard one. But you know what? It's okay. Everything that comes at you, you have to find a way to, as fast as possible, be okay with it. Because the next phone call you could receive could be a death in the family. And if you're not okay with your boss, and then you have a death in your family, now you're in a real crisis. So just look at it like it's a game. Life is a game. It's going to throw a lot of balls at you. And I don't mean men's. I'm just saying you're going to get a lot of things thrown at you. And whatever they are, try to, as fast as possible, acknowledge that they exist and they're not okay. But then it's okay for you to be okay with it. Okay, that doesn't mean you think it's right. That in the moment of all of this, you can have a peace, a solitude in the middle of a storm.
That makes sense. Yeah. I have a young
I
lady.
had something happen just last night
Really?
that I'm not okay with. Like I don't like it when I'm on a Zoom comedy show and I'm told I have to be clean and everybody else is filthy dirty. I'm not okay with that. I want to just walk out of the Zoom and shut my computer off and go cry. But I've been taught by the DBT skills that it's okay that I have a standard and it was given to me and it wasn't given and adhered to by anybody else. Those two opposites, if you let them be a conflict, you're going to be miserable. So you got to find a way in the middle of a conflict to know that the dialectical is two opposites can happen and you can be in the middle of a storm and be okay.
That's great advice because a lot of people don't understand that, whether it be male or female. I mean, it gets difficult all the way around. I have a young lady who I know of that is going through sexual harassment. This is like one of her second jobs, single parent, has autistic children, already depressed already with the issues at hand, and being sexually harassed at work. And she don't know what to do. She feels lost. It's like all they want to do, and then the company don't want to do anything about it. And that's the question I have, because again, I don't understand because I'm not a female.
Yeah.
And it's hard for that.
You can only be responsible for how you treat other people. And when you get treated improperly, like make a list of things to do when bad things come at you. Like focus on yourself. I'm being harassed at work. Okay. Have I ever harassed anybody? Is this a lesson from the universe or from God? Is there anybody in my life that I have treated poorly that I should go and clean up some karma? Why is this coming at me? What's it going to teach me? How can I be a better human being because I'm being treated poorly? How can I come out of this with my karma intact and treat other human beings better? How can I make the world a better place? Can I start a nonprofit for sexual harassment for females? Can I offer a support group? Everything that comes at you, maybe there's some particular reason why it's coming to you.
That's amazing. Again, Linda, you're an amazing woman.
Thank
Glad
you.
you're here. Number one, I'm glad you're here with us.
Thank you.
That's the most important thing and all that. With all your experienced life lessons in your journey, you didn't let it define who you were. You just adapted to it, and it made you stronger. And that's what made you who you are today in front of everybody. And I think that speaks volumes, especially with all the chaotic stuff that's going on in the world right now. And then when young people, when they come in there for comedy, sometimes they're just going in and you're telling them a story. You're giving a little bit of insight to them. And everybody needs that.
People don't know everything that I've been through in my life unless you listen to my one-woman show, And I don't know that they need to know everything I've gone through, but just if you're out there listening, I was never wanted. My parents wanted, 2 children, and I was part of a twin birth, and they wanted a boy. And my dad got my mom pregnant so that she wouldn't leave him. So I really wasn't wanted. I was more like a trap baby, And my parents were traumatized by World War II. So they were literally out to lunch raising kids, and I didn't get nobody came to my performances in choir and in orchestra. Nobody said you can do anything you want, nothing. And, I married a guy that didn't want to come home at night. I have a daughter that doesn't speak to me. And yet I can give love to people that I never received. And you do that by forgiving everybody and forgiving yourself. Like if a lesson comes at you, ask yourself, what kind of things have you done in the world that you need to clear up? That when you start clearing up your karma, good things start coming.
100%. I agree so much with you. What's your favorite joke?
My favorite joke. Sometimes men veterans don't like it, but I was one woman with 2,000 men. It's got like 3 parts to the joke. Okay. I was one woman with 2,000 men. Why do you think I'm still smiling at 73 trips around the sun? But I was in the Women's Army Corps. I was a whack. But it was more like all day long, everybody wanted to have a whack at me. Like dodging dodgeballs. So I was really bad at math. So it's a good thing I joined the military for 3 years. So I was like, how many times a day are they going to try to shove 2,000 into one? My best joke. I love that joke.
That's I couldn't even fathom that to be in that kind of type of position. To even, it's like, man, how could you? That's wild. That's like, how does that even happen?
You
And
get
it's like,
really good at telling people to leave you the hell alone.
it's like, listen, use your imagination. You know how when they said with the girls back in the older days and all that, oh, I grew up with 3 brothers, so I get it. I know how to handle all that. Yeah, try growing up with 2,000. How can you contemplate that one? Interesting.
I had a lieutenant, and he said every time I'd walk into the office, all full of men, they'd be doing this testosterone bouncing around the room. And I'd walk in, conversation stopped. Lieutenant would look at me and say, they call me the 60-minute man. One day I just got so sick and tired of it. I said, what, to get it up?
Yeah, what a way to kill somebody right immediately, right? Okay, we're done. In discussion. All right. Now put your tail between your legs and walk away. Try to keep it together. Because you got told, oh yeah, you definitely got put in your place real quick. And those were some tough times back in those days. I mean, it wasn't easy. And to keep that's a question is, how in the hell did you keep your sanity?
Well, you just, like in the military and in life, whether you're military or, you're out there listening to this, in life, a lot of things will come at you. And sometimes you bury them. And then when they come up and you deal with them unhealthily, because they come up on their own at the worst possible time, they'll come up. So you want to acknowledge that things are happening when they're happening. To the young lady that you were speaking of, acknowledge those things and don't bury them. They're unfair, and it's okay that they're happening. You don't like it, but you're going to be okay with it. But if you don't say it's happening, one day it's going to bite you and everybody you love.
And also, you're right. And because I have family members, deep depression, just like myself. I could use myself as an example. Once you get in that deep depression, it's so hard to try to come out of it. It really, truly is. because just with my seizures, it took me out of the being diagnosed with it, and then it almost crippling me when everybody said, well, you're never going to be able to walk again. You're not going to be able to function. You can't work. You can't do this. You can't do that. Hey, let's drug you up with as many freaking drugs as possible, basically numbing you to everything, and then turn around and I felt worthless. I wasn't a man. I couldn't even take care of my own family. Tried to commit suicide. And
Exactly.
it's like, okay, turn around and say, this isn't for me. One day it's like, all right, stop all the medications. I'm done with it. Let's see, what's the worst that's going to happen? It can't be any worse than what I'm going through. And lo and behold, here I am today, and I got much better over it. It's like, hark, that's a freaking shocker. And then I get the opportunity to meet a freaking great, amazing woman like yourself.
Thank you.
So I think it's freaking tremendous. Everything happens for a reason. That's why I look up to my wife. She's as far as being a compass rose, travel all around the world. Yes, but it's on a map. But with my wife, there's more to the story because with everything that she goes through, she's my rose and I'm her compass. And she's a Sunday school teacher. So no matter how sick she gets, how bad one of her days are, how bad she's hurting or just not feeling it, no matter what, she's always gets up and makes sure she goes to church and teaches those kids. So that right there, that's why she's my rose. I'm weak compared to her. Just like with you, I'm weak versus you, the way I look at it, because I commend you because you've all overcome a lot and you're still doing it.
I think you've overcome a lot.
I have. It took a long time. I wouldn't even be doing it. I wasn't one to even come on a podcast or even talk to anybody. I was like, yeah, I was always silent. That ain't me. Scared, nervous. But something triggered. It's like, hey, all this happens for a reason. When I lost my mother, that's why it's tough around the holidays. I lost my mother.
Absolutely. That would make it really hard in the holidays.
It is. But at the same token, you take the positive. Around the holidays, that's why I got you on during this time because I needed a good pick-me-up. Was it a little bit selfish? Heck yeah, it was. But not just in a selfish in that type of way, but a selfish way for you to make everybody laugh during the holidays. If you're feeling down and out, that's why I have you on, is to help a little bit of smiles.
That's great.
And I appreciate you. I didn't mean to keep you. I appreciate time. If you still have time, it's more than welcome. But I want to thank you very much.
Thank you
for coming on the show.
And any DAV, AMVET, VFW, anywhere, I'll go to them too. If you have any others you can recommend me to, I would love to come to Indiana and talk to you.
Oh, absolutely. I would love it because that's what I do is over at Post 97, American Legion in Auburn, Indiana, where it would be great because we're right by the Fort Wayne VA hospital.
Oh, wonderful.
So it would be monumental because I go through counseling with a lot of great veterans. Old school veterans have been, it's like real issues through Vietnam. Angry, but funnier than hell. Holy crap. Boy, can you tell the stories on that one? Good luck. That's what I'll say to you, young ladies, because when you get around these guys, I got to see this one. I want to be the fly on the wall on that one. Like, oh boy, here we go again. Let's see these old timers come to life. Let's see how this works.
Absolutely.
But I would ask you the one biggest thing is if while you are going to when you come out, because this is what I do is if you could go because we have the hospital right over there, But for the kids, for the cancer ward, if you would mind going up there and telling a few jokes, because you know what? Those kids need to laugh.
Yes, please. I go through the VA hospitals. I've done shows inside the VA hospitals from coast to coast.
And I think that's imperative because they need it. They're not alone. And that sure the hell not forgotten about either.
Now, did you say you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana?
I'm in Auburn, which is about 20 minutes outside of Fort Wayne.
Because we have a comedian named Michael Moses, and he has the Fort Wayne Comedy Club. And I'm sure he can open up the venue for a military night while I'm there too.
Yeah, so like I said, we'll get together and discuss that, and because we have a comedy club over in Fort Wayne too, and all that, and
It might be his, the Fort Wayne Comedy Club.
I think it is.
Yeah, Michael Moses.
Michael Moses. I think, like I said, a lot of great things are coming down the pipeline. Just would love to have you a part of it.
Thank you. I would love that.
It's amazing. So when's your next show?
Well, let's see. I have a family coming to town this week. And then January 6th, I have my it took me 4 years to get the Marine Club here to let me have a show there monthly. So my very first monthly live Marine comedy show is January 6th. And I have it all booked up through October. I'm bringing in comedians from around the country and paying them good money to entertain all the military branches that come to that Marine Club. So, and then January 7th, I'm on a big show here in town at Wise Guys Comedy Club in the Arts District. John Caparulo has a showcase of up and coming talent. And this is the third time he's had me on his show. So I don't know if he knows it's the third time I'm on. I don't know if he cares about the little people in comedy to the degree that he keeps track like we do. This is
right.
The third, he's probably like, whatever, I've seen you around.
Like I said, it's going to be great. Like I said, I would love to do part. And also I have on my Instagram and all that on the podcast, because being in the cigar industry, I also kind of try to flip the script too, where I started a Saturday Night Live roast. If you wouldn't mind, like helping out, if you want to.
Sure.
That's very nice. Just because first of all, I'm not very funny. That's why I started out like, hey, roast me, say whatever you want, but people are afraid to roast anybody. It's like, come on, roast it, do it, whatever. It doesn't matter. I got thick skin. I was in service. I know how this is done. You can't. It's not like you're physically harming me.
I know a guy named T.C. Morgan, and he's the roast captain of Vegas. He's a Navy veteran. You should get a hold of him. He'll come on and roast you up one side and down the other.
But you know what? It's for a good cause.
Yes.
I'm very, like I said, adamant. I donate to kids. There's a place over here for autism, so I donate to them, the homeless shelters, and a lot of other things for kids. Especially like I'm starting my own for seizures, because there's a lot of people that have seizure disorders, and then for my wife for the different types of cancers. So it would be a great honor. See what happens, people? Magical things happen. You just got to go out and do the things. You just got to open up and try it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah. You're going to say no. Okay, I can live with that. Okay,
so tell me the name of your Instagram again.
The True North Podcast.
Is the word "the" in it?
Yes. It's probably the Compass Rose True North Podcast, or just True North. You'll see a picture of it, or you'll see a picture of me or my background.
I just want to pull it up. Are we live on there now?
I had turned it up because that's where the back feeding was coming through.
Totally. Well, I want to
I'm
make
still
sure that
learning.
I'll find it later. I can't seem to find it right now, but I'll go back there and make sure that I'm following it.
Oh, I would love it because, like I said, I'll have you come on the Instagram podcast because a lot of them, I'm going to tell you right now, they're stuffy. It's a stuffy room. Everybody's so freaking. It's the same thing over like that. I laugh, okay? Me being a brand new cigar brand owner, right? Okay, this is the thing. I have a cigar, okay? I have a very small attention span. There's three things that go with a cigar: binder, filler, and the wrapper. Where it comes from, different things like that. That's it. That's about it. I can only talk about it for freaking 5 minutes. They want to talk for an hour of basically the same thing over and over and over. It's like, you guys are boring. Where's the hook? So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do is make people laugh and all that and have a good time. But
Yeah.
again, raising awareness, letting people say, hey, you have a voice. You're more than welcome to talk, because a lot of people shut down and no one wants to talk about it. The more you bottle this stuff up, the worse it gets.
Exactly.
I've had to find that out the hard way.
I
But
agree.
hey, that's how I became the man I am today. If I didn't go through all the bad experiences and all that. So again, I want to thank you. God bless you. Merry
Thank
Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you.
May you have the best year coming up. But
Thank you.
And be safe.
Thank you.
And to all my viewers, thank you so much for popping in and out. Follow both of us, especially follow Miss Linda Marcus Smith. She's a veteran. Go follow her. Go try to book her into your clubs. I don't care what you got to do. Make this woman a part of your lives.
Thank you.
And with that, God bless to everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Ho,
Christmas.
ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. All right. I'm going to put that and I'll keep you in the room right afterwards, okay?
Say that again.
I'll keep you in the room like we were in the very beginning. But before I go, would there be anything that you would like to add before we go?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. And to anybody that's watched this, just know that there's hope and there's help out there for everything. And if you reach out and somebody's rude to you or condescending and they're not a fit for your need when you're reaching out for help, don't give up. Just keep reaching out. You'll eventually find somebody that's going to help you with whatever your need is. There's many problems as there are in the world, and there are a lot of problems. There's that many or more solutions. So whether bombs are dropping on you in Ukraine or the Middle East is blowing up in front of us on our TV screen, or your parents are yelling at you, or nobody loves you, there's help out there for every problem. And you know what? For every problem, there's probably 10 different opinions and solutions. So weigh all the solutions and pick the best one for you. And don't worry about other people. Just run your own race.
Amen to that. You know who you remind me of? I put my finger on it. Which favorite Golden Girls?
Which one do I remind you of?
Oh, the funniest one of them all. That's outlasted anybody. Was it Betty? Yeah,
Betty White.
Betty White. I keep her because my mind's going a million. That's what who you remind me of. Classy, beautiful, elegant, but funnier than heck.
Thank
And
you.
she can outdo the best of them.
What's that?
She outdid the best of them.
Yeah, she did. She outlived them all too.
Exactly.
She was like the last comic standing on Golden Girls.
Well, and it's true. I mean, no matter what she did, she would light up a room. and make everybody laugh and smile. And she was always gorgeous as ever, just like yourself.
Her character was a lot like a modern um, Gracie Allen.
Yeah, I can see that. Again, I want to thank you so much.
Thank
Remember,
you.
comedy is your best friend, ladies and gentlemen. That's a truth serum. Get you through the rough times. God
Yeah,
knows we all need
whatever
it.
whatever comes at you, people, try to make it a game. And like, if somebody calls me up on the phone, and like I had somebody just this week that told me that they were really disappointed in me, just try to come up with a joke about, feel the feelings if something bad comes, and try to see how fast you can make it funny.
Very true. Very true. Wise words. Well, I love you. We'll cut it out and hopefully have you back on the show after the new year and all that. I would definitely love that. And I got to follow you. So if anybody comes on here and all that and listens, where can they go to follow you? Where's the biggest platform where you need them to be?
I need help on my YouTube. So I've interviewed 1,108 comedians. I've done 51 military shows they're on my YouTube, and a lot of my comedy. I mean, all my comedy from the beginning till today, till last night, is on there. So look at the newer ones, because those are better than the older ones. Trust me.
Okay, awesome. I love it. All that. If you can give me the details of that, and I'll post that as well, your YouTube channel and everything.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just comedian Linda Marcus Smith.
perfect. I love it. I will definitely be one of those guys, and I have a lot of friends, a lot of vets that'll love it too.
Thank you so much.
Godspeed, Miss Linda.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you, everybody. Nat? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There is Miss Linda Smith, the most wonderful person I've ever met. God bless you all. Thank you very much for popping on the show. Guess what? Keep a smile. Never be down. Okay? Thank you. Merry Christmas.